Volkswagen, you lived up in industry. Tell us what's come out of that. It's happened to your daughter.
Well, most important of all is that Genesis is alive and well.
And she was supposed to live how long, and how old has it been since then?
So it's been a journey. United Therapeutics was formed in 2000, so we're coming close to like 20 years. She's been a hero throughout this whole effort. After she finished college, I mean, just imagine, Tony, everybody through your whole life, since you're a little kid, is telling you, you're going to die, you have a deadly disease, a fatal disease, blah, blah, blah. She surmounts all of that and then says, what I want to do with my life is I want to work in this company, Martine, that you started to save my life and help everybody else with this indication.
Wow, this is beautiful, beautiful.
So she inspires me each and every day, here today to support me. So what has happened is that our medicines, it turns out, by the way, that when Genesis was diagnosed, there were 2,000 people in the whole US with this disease, because almost everybody died within 5 years. So people are constantly born with it and then they died. So it only got to be 2,000 people was the prevalence. Today, thanks to our medicines, the United States, there are over 40,000 people living with
Wow, that's awesome. Oh, give it up, ladies and gentlemen.
So what has happened is that as we've been successful, it's like this Nelson Mandela quote, it's okay to shine. It's okay to be full of pride in what you've accomplished, because when you do that, you inspire everybody else to come and be the best of themselves. That's why I love you so much, Tony, and I love everything about the Tony Robbins activity, because you let all of us shine and be the best people that we can be. Thank you.
You do that automatically yourself. It's beautiful. Thank you.
So people began calling, emailing, writing. I have a aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a brother or sister with a rare disease. And I was scared because, I didn't even really know what I was doing with Genesis. I was just going one step at a time. And I still had never taken a biology course since high school. So it was scary. But bit by bit, we began working on more and more rare diseases. And perhaps the most astonishing one was 5 years ago when we developed a drug that cures half of all the instances, not 100%, but at least half, of a terrible childhood rare cancer called neuroblastoma.
Yes.
So before we got this approved by the FDA 5 years ago, and before we got it approved, it's a horrible disease and a horrible death, and 100% of the kids with this would die, including like a brother, one of our board of directors, many other people. Today, half the people with this disease that take our medicine, 5 years after they've taken it, they have no disease at all. It never comes back.
Wow.
They go on and they live their whole life happily ever after.
That's incredible. So the company has taken on other rare diseases now as well. And tell us about the company. What has it grown to?
Yeah, it's grown quite a bit, Tony. We've this drug, which, by the way, I would have thought that after I did Sirius, everybody would say, okay, Martine, you know how to run a business. We'll invest, whatever you need for United Therapeutics. It turns out in the beginning, all the investment had to come from me, because Wall Street said, well, nobody's going to buy this medicine. I mean, there's 2,000 people. If they pay, like $1,000 a year, that's not going to cover all of your costs.
Yeah.
So that medicine and that drug that people thought would be absolutely useless today generates $1.5 billion a year in revenue.
Wow. And how much did you capitalize the business originally yourself?
So, myself, it was capitalized originally at a level of $20 million.
Wow.
And that $20 million has now grown to a market cap of $5 billion.
Wow. And saved 40,000 lives, 40,000 people alive today. That's incredible. Incredible.
So one of the rare diseases that I've become, I think, a little bit obsessed with and very, very passionate on.
Everybody loves when you become obsessed, by the way, because it means life's going to change.
Is people who need an organ transplant, a kidney transplant, a liver transplant, a lung transplant, or a heart transplant. And for people with my daughter's disease and some of the other ones that we treat, if there's no medicine that can help them, their only solution is a transplant. And I've met some of my daughter's young friends who, before our medicine got approved, their disease advanced very rapidly. There's one delightful young lady, Kristen Gilday. She could play Mozart beautifully on a piano. She got a lung transplant. Her body rejected it. She lived her last year of life in a hospital and died. And I vowed to myself that I was going to stop that sort of thing from happening. So I have been on a mission for the past few years to say, why can't we manufacture replacement organs the way we manufacture replacement parts for cars and machines and planes? And so our company has become a leader in this area of organ manufacturing. I always start practically. So I said, why don't we start with the organs that people nicely donate but are thrown away because the transplant doctors think that they're been out of the body too long, been without blood too long, something wrong with them.
Did I read the number was like 80% of lungs?
80% are just thrown away.
Imagine lungs.
Somebody is nice enough to have donated that. Unfortunately, they got in a motorcycle accident or something, and they died. And the doctors, and I don't really fault the doctors because they've got at the other end a person who's on their literally last leg. And if the lung is damaged or beat up a little bit, they say, well, I don't want to put this in somebody who's on their last leg in the intensive care ward. So myself, my team, we invented a technology that creates an artificial body. It's under a dome. And in this artificial body under a dome, we can take a dead lung, and not all the time, but about 60% of the time, we can restore that dead lung to being just as good as a brand new living lung. We've now gone ahead and transplanted those into 1,600 people have walked out of the hospital with brand new lungs that were otherwise being thrown away. I think all of us were so lucky to be alive in this time of day when somebody can have this dream. Like I say, truth and technology will like pounce into the ground bullshit and bureaucracy. And it was a lot of bullshit and bureaucracy that led those lungs to be thrown away too. Now we're saving them. We're moving that technology out to hearts, kidneys. Our next frontier is thanks to the breakthroughs that have been done by Craig Venter and people like that in the human genome. I said, why can't we learn the pig genome as good as the human genome? Because it turns out that the pig's organs are the same size and shape as human organs. Some of you may have known that people needed a valve replacement for their heart, and they got it from a pig. Now, what they got was not the actual pig's valve, because what happens is all the tissues and the cells are stripped off that valve, but the shape of the valve is the same shape as the human valve, so it works as a replacement for it.